Hi. So I wanted to show you what we're having for dinner tonight. I am making what we call fried spaghetti. Growing up, we called it mamaw's spaghetti, which was a spaghetti my grandma made. Or sometimes my dad calls it Duke's spaghetti. So it has three different names. But it's a very simple spaghetti to make. It's kind of a drier spaghetti. That's why my husband likes it. Very few ingredients. It takes hamburger, green peppers, onions, spaghetti, tomato paste, and that's it. And then whatever seasonings you want to add. I just do salt, pepper, and sometimes garlic. So today I'm going to add a little garlic. So right now I have, let me show you. I have a big pot of water, and the reason why I do a big pot is because once you put everything together with the spaghetti, the ground meat and all the veggies, and you put your tomato paste in there, you want to cook it over heat, high heat, stirring it, and that's why my husband calls it fried spaghetti, because it's like we're frying the spaghetti. So I have my water on to boiling. In this pan, I have 2.5 pounds of ground meat. The more meat you put in this recipe, the better it tastes. I've tried to do less because I'm not a big meat eater, but it just doesn't taste the same. So I have 2.5 pounds of ground meat, and I'm just going to chop it up. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. My mother got this for me. It's from Pampered Chef, and I think it's just for this reason, to kind of chop up your meat while you're cooking. So it's really nice. I really like it. I would recommend it for anyone. So that's starting to sizzle. I'm going to put, this is like an extra large onion. So the onion was like this big around. So I chopped that all up, and I'm going to dump that in there. And then a very large green pepper. I don't think you can have enough green peppers and onions in this. And then just cut it up. So my name for my grandmother, my dad's mom, was Mamaw, and my grandfather was Papa. And so I guess this was Mamaw's recipe, is what I'm remembering. She used to make this. But I just remember growing up, my mom making it all the time. I'd say at least maybe a couple times a month we had this, if I'm remembering correctly. And then after I got married and we talked about making fried spaghetti, my dad told us the story of how it came to be. And I guess a man came by their house kind of looking for work or wanting to spend the night or something when my dad was a boy. And his father invited him in. I hope this is a true story. I'm assuming it was. And he wanted to make dinner for them, and he made this spaghetti. And his name was Duke. And so that's why my dad calls it Duke spaghetti. So then when I got married, instead of calling it Mamaw's spaghetti or Mom's spaghetti, my husband liked to call it fried spaghetti, because you kind of fry it up when it's all done, and it's kind of dry. But sometimes he'll call it Duke spaghetti, just remembering what my dad talked about. So I think it's funny how different foods have memories connected to them, and different names as well. So here's my ground meat, my peppers, my onions. I have it on high. I'm going to add salt. I'm going to add pepper. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder too, just because I'm feeling it that way. I guess not a little, I like a lot. I remember being a teenager and my mom would make this and my dad would always come in and get like a small bowl, like maybe like this, halfway, and fill it up with the ground meat that was cooked and the peppers, and he would load it with pepper and salt, and he would eat it while my mom was making the rest of the meal, the spaghetti. So I have a memory of that. I remember one time I made this spaghetti for the whole family when my kids were little, and I forgot to put the ground meat in it. And we were all eating it, and nobody was saying anything, and everybody was being very nice. And it just didn't taste the same, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I realized that I had forgotten to put meat in the spaghetti. So it was just, I guess, noodles and paste. I don't know, but it didn't taste very good. So this is going to cook on high. I'm going to get it nice and brown. And then I'll check back in once my water's boiling or my hamburger meat is brown and my vegetables are soft. So I will see you in a little bit. So on fried spaghetti, in my family, they like to put Parmesan cheese on it. My husband really likes freshly grated Parmesan cheese, so he does a little bit of both. And my husband loves to put fresh jalapeno peppers on his, so I always cut up a couple of those. Growing up, we ate pickled yellow peppers that you can buy in the store. We used to put those on top, or pickled jalapenos. It's just whatever you prefer. My dad would put maybe some pickled cauliflower on the side that you can buy in the store. So lots of different toppings. And normally it was ate with just a slice or two of white bread next to it, which sounds so unhealthy and so carb loaded, but it really did taste delicious. So sometimes my mom would make coleslaw and we'd eat coleslaw with it, and that tastes really good together as well. I don't do that, but boy, that sounds really good, so I should do that someday. So that's just some of the ways that we top that off. Okay, so my water has come to a boil. So I'm going to add some salt, maybe like 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Almost tripped over my dog. And then whatever kind of spaghetti you like. I like regular spaghetti, not thin spaghetti. And I know this isn't popular, but I grew up cutting my spaghetti in half, breaking it in half. And I usually make enough spaghetti where we can have leftovers. So that's normally like, I'd say, a pound of spaghetti that I put in. Just because, like I said, I'm feeding 3 people and we like to have leftovers for the next day. So I'm going to stir that up really well. One of the things that I can't stand is when noodles stick together. It just really grosses me out for some reason. So I'm going to give that a nice stir. I'm going to stir up my hamburger here. It's starting to get brown. This is a very quick meal. It does not take long. The longest part is probably just cutting up the peppers and onions. But once you do that, it really cooks up quickly. And I try to get the ground meat with the less amount of fat in it, just simply because it's better. I know we probably shouldn't be eating ground meat at all, but I try to get like the 95% or 90%. Okay, so my spaghetti looks like it's going to cook really nice. I will still keep an eye on that. And then my hamburger is still frying, so I will check back soon. So a couple other things for tomato paste. You can buy the little 6-ounce cans. This is a 12-ounce. I like to buy the 12-ounce because I normally use more than 6 ounces, and then I got to open up another can. But when I make a lot so that we have leftovers, sometimes I use this whole can to make it with. So what I'll do is when my hamburger is all fried up and it's really nice and brown, if there's a lot of grease in it, I'll drain some of the grease out. I think you're supposed to leave some of the grease in simply because it adds to the flavor, but for health reasons I like to take some of it out, if not most of it or all of it out. So that's another thing. Another topping that I forgot to tell you about was crushed red peppers. My husband and my son really like this on theirs too. So that's something you can do. So I got about 5 more minutes on my spaghetti, and by then my hamburger should be nice and brown, and then I'll show you how to put it all together. Okay? Okay, so my ground meat is all brown. My veggies are soft. I drained probably about a half a cup of the fat and juice off of this. So now what I like to do is just plop the tomato paste on the hamburger, because I think it makes it easier to stir into the spaghetti. Kind of melts a little bit, gets even softer, incorporates into the hamburger. So that is what I like to do. And then I'm just going to let that kind of sit in that for a while. I'll kind of spread it out. This is just my own little trick that I picked up since I've been married. And I'll just let that simmer for a little bit. My spaghetti is like probably a minute from being al dente, and the way I like to eat it. And then I will drain that, and then I will show you how to mix it all together and make fried spaghetti. Okay, so I have my spaghetti drained. I don't worry about getting every little piece of, every little drip of water out of there. And then we just put the ground meat inside the spaghetti noodle pot. It smells really good. For a while for almost a year I was trying to eat vegan. Well, I did eat vegan. And this was one of the dishes, believe it or not, that I missed. I really missed fried spaghetti. I think because it was a comfort food from when I was a kid. So I didn't eat it, but now that I'm not being strict on my vegan eating or even vegetarian eating, I enjoy eating it again. So, overheat. I have medium heat under this pot. This is the arm breaking part of it. You just stir the meat and the tomato paste in. I'm probably going to add a little more salt. It does tend to take quite a bit of salt in this, and some pepper. And you just let it cook. Like, can you hear that in there? That's what my husband calls frying. There's plenty of ground meat. And we'll certainly have enough for leftovers. There's tons in here. So you just keep stirring this up until it looks like it's all mixed together. You can let it cook or fry as long as you want. I generally let it for a few minutes. And that's how you make fried spaghetti. So I will fry this up for a few more minutes, and then I'll make a plate and show you the finished product. I hope you enjoyed watching. So there's the finished product. I only put salt and pepper on mine. My husband loaded his up. You'll see his in the first picture of the video. So I just wanted to say goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you give it a try because it's really good. Have a good one.